All right, hello everybody, and welcome to round 6 here in LSR Group 1, Season 11, as I'm still getting everything set up here, and I think we are good. We'll get the leader this one. But yeah, welcome to, again, LSR Group 1, round 6, so just hitting the halfway point of this one. And it's our first of 2 special rounds of this season. You see round 6 and round 12, the finale. And this round, of course, will be our lone sprint race of the season. So we head to the classic Spa-Francorchamps circuit. And it's going to be a long session, this one. So 12 minutes in sprint qualifying. And then an 8-lap race, followed by your standard 18-minute short qualifying, followed by a 22-lap race. So plenty of racing action set to go down. I assume all of our drivers are going to be getting setups already, so you can see them still in the pit lane there. Nobody yet to head out onto the circuit. And there is our first. I believe that's Haas making their way out. Actually, no, that's an Alpine, apologies, who are our Constructors' Championship leaders. So it's going to be Kaname getting underway on a set of mediums. But definitely going to be an interesting session here, as I know we got a couple of drivers potentially looking to maybe sacrifice starting position for the sprint. And we'll see exactly what happens. But of course, Spa, longest circuit on the calendar. And because of this 12-minute sprint quality, if drivers are going to want to save tires, we could see a couple of one-shot efforts from a number of them. But Kaname will lead us out, who I believe was the victor last week. And also, I didn't introduce myself. If you are new, I am Vegan Haddock. Of course, welcome. If this is your first LSR stream that you are showing up for. But yeah, I sadly have not gotten around to seeing last week's result. But I guess just to run you down, if you did miss it as well, it was Kaname from Frozen from FBR Cloud in reserve. So last weekend's winner of Kaname will be first to get a lap up on the board, should he continue around. But I guess to give you a look into the driver's standings for the moment, it is Kaname leading the way by 10 points over B-Tom in the Aston Martin. Kaname's teammate of Frozen is then in third. It's then Mac T and BXT Bernat in fourth and fifth. Wessel in sixth, fighting Nowbot, Rompo Strat, FBR Cloud, and Jordan round out your current top 10 in the drivers coming into this mid-round race. And of course, we'll stay on board with Kaname as he looks to get underway with the first lap here at Spa. Of course, pretty short run down into turn 1, but DRS still activated as you get down into the hairpin. Hoping to not see too much carnage for lap 1 of either race. Of course, you got the blast now down the hill and into Ratty on the No Rouge. Definitely one of the most well-known corner combinations in all of racing, not just in all of Formula 1. Of course, blasting out onto the Kimmel Straight. DRS going to get go wide open at the back of the car. Going to be approaching top speeds around 210 miles an hour, so 30.5 the first sector for Kanama. Into 4, 5, and 6 now. Of course, going to be really trying to carry as much speed as possible. Really set up down here into the hairpin. I forgot to check the names of the corners, and I don't remember them off the top of my head, but I know heading out down the hill into No Name, just going to be a slight lift. Really going to utilize all the track there on the exit. Down the hill now, going to be flat through this section of the racetrack here in qualifying. Thing. Of course, definitely one of the more trickier sections is this section here. If you'll excuse me, I didn't prepare, so we're going to pull up the track map as Kaname making his way through the back end of Sector 2. And from here, it's basically flat all the way back to the line. Again, you're going to really utilize all the track there on the outside and then blast towards the line. It's actually one moment here. Blasting down into, of course, the bus stop chicane. Kaname now powering down to the line. He will cross the line inside of 42.0 for Kaname on a set of mediums. Apologies, I just had to ask somebody to back out at current session. Just that would be the space for our 20th driver when he can make it. And then got a couple other cars from the line. I believe that's both Williams coming to the line. That's Crazy Riatudo. 1.7 seconds back, also on a set of mediums, to give his teammate a bit of a tell. Lurka goes top for Sauber with a 41.4 on a set of mediums as well, so a solid lap there for him. Firat comes to the line 3/4 of a second back, so Lurka with a very fast first lap time. It's what the Red Bulls Tom coming to the line. He'll slot into 4th for the moment. Labobo and Haas half a second back, so again, number of drivers getting some solid laps in. Of course, with the McLarens this week, we now have the opportunity to see that bright, shiny chrome livery as Justin Scry coming into the bus stop now. I believe it's Emerge KD's going 6th fastest. There's also a Ferrari coming to the line. That's Mac T slotting into P5. Here comes Justin to the line. He'll slot in just ahead of Tom in 6th. And then there's the Aston Martin. I believe that's B-Tom in the line. Only good enough for 2nd for the moment. So nobody really touching. A great lap time there from Lurka. Rasta Cheech also in the Sauber, looking to now get underway. He's opted for a set of soft compound tires, so we'll see how he goes. Mango, meanwhile, on the mediums. Coming through the final couple of corners now. He'll try to put the power down to the line. Can he say anything about provisional pole? He cannot. He'll slot into 3rd. So again, a couple drive. So, Lurka still remaining on pole. 4/10 definitely seems like a lot. Definitely not quite as significant on a lap quite this long. We'll have to see what happens. We'll jump on board, though, with SPR Chenzo as he blasts now through the final couple of corners for Williams. Will have gotten potentially a little bit of a tow from his teammate through the early part of the lap. Looks to be on for a pretty comfortable lap. DRS open, gets the power down nicely. That lap time, good enough for 8th for Chenzo. So again, going to be looking to continue to improve here. Tom JM, meanwhile, on a bit of a cool-down lap. We got a Haas and a Red Bull. Actually, a Haas and a V-car. Apologies. I believe that is Firat. We'll have to see if he's up. They're actually going to go side-by-side here through the final corner. So we'll see if drivers are looking to set up. No, they're just kind of racing the pit lane there. Doing a good job to keep it off of each other as they dive into the pits. So we'll stay on board then with the Sauber Rasta Cheech. I saw them pull up the spot track map of corner names because I don't remember them. Again, I don't remember them all off the top of my head. There we go. As we'll head down into, once again, the bus stop chicane. See a car diving out of the way there as Rasta blasts by. So here comes Rasta to the line for sprint quality, and that'll get him up into sprint points, as that is a P8. So a good showing there. Tom, meanwhile, going again on that set of mediums. He's up about 3.5 tenths on this lap. I think his teammate of Mango, meanwhile, out of fuel towards the end of the lap. 4 minutes only left to go in this sprint quality session. Tom, you can see really utilizing all of that track on the outside as he blasts down the hill. Of course, heading now into Stavolo. Again, really trying to utilize all that exit. You can see somebody going a little bit too wide through there, and Tom, meanwhile, it's around 3/4 of a second. So a lot of time in it now for the Red Bull driver. It's just about 3.5 minutes left to go now. Let's see if a couple of drivers are going to get a couple of laps on the board. Let's see, can Tom improve that lap any further? Could anybody potentially threaten Lurka here for sprint pole? Tom getting the power down nicely, utilizing all that track, and he'll jump up into P10. So still 1.2 seconds adrift for the moment, with some good laps on the board right now. We'll go ahead and throw it back so you can see everybody's lap times. Also for my benefit, as we'll see. Rompo Strat, meanwhile, from Mercedes, looking very comfortable out there as you head through the Lacombe chicane. As Frozen goes top of the order, as I missed that, as T-Bone checking in. Hopefully you're doing well. As Frozen goes top with a 41.0. So that's a solid lap time. That's a very solid lap time for him. We'll see if that manages to hold up, because I believe most of the rest of the grid was putting their lap times down on medium. So we'll see if anybody else comes back out. Rompo, meanwhile, is on a set of mediums, but has invalidated, so we'll see if the Mercedes is carrying enough fuel to go again. We do not. We do have BXT, who is on his way. Sadly, he can only make the feature qualifying and feature race. We can see a bunch of drivers now piling out of the pits, and it's getting very busy in the run to Radion and Eau Rouge. Yeah, no, BXT's on the way, so you are out. Rompo actually going to dive into the pit, so that'll be his qualifying over, so Rompo will not set a lap time. And you got 4 other drivers who are all going to be, at risk of not getting a lap time on the board. But almost every driver is coming back out on track here. Tom JM, we'll jump on board with him, see if he will start another lap. He will not. He'll dive into the pit, so Tom GM will start no better than 11th for the sprint, but will hold on to a couple of sets of tires, importantly. So we'll jump to Kei Osama in the McLaren, who again, going to be is the lone driver on track right now on a lap. Additionally, Rosicic and Tom JM, Frozen, all not going to get another lap in. So will any of the 15 other drivers currently on track have an opportunity to start a little bit further up in the sprint race? Of course, you can see the shiny and chrome Osama making his way through the final part of the racetrack into Sector 3 as we head down into Blanchiment, which is a corner that I do know off the top of my head. That's a good one. As you can see, very busy in the back part in that end part of the racetrack is everybody just trying to create a little bit of space. Will this hold up Kei Osama as he comes towards the end of the lap? As you can see, everybody stacking up, and Kei Osama's going to invalidate here as everybody trying to create space at the bus stop. That'll do it for the session, and now he's going to be a little bit in the way of the V-carb as well. So let's see if anything comes of that. But Kei Osama not going to be able to get a lap time on the board. We'll jump on board, though, with the current leader out on track, I suppose, in Labobo's Haas, as Kei Osama will retire from the session here, making his way down through Puan now, doing a nice job keeping that together. His teammate Fight Me Now bot not too far behind, and behind him will be B-Tom. Again, looking to hold it together very nicely, utilizing all of that track on the outside, as everybody has started a lap. Tom and Rosso, of course, will not get laps in. Rompo and Kei Osama not getting lap times on the board. And Labobo looking solid through 2 sectors. We'll jump to his teammate of Fight Me Now bot, 114.4. Isn't showing up as purple, though. Whereas Labobo up 3/4 of a second. So can he find 2/10 in this final sector coming down to the bus stop chicane? Of course, I believe this is his LSR debut. As now he'll put the power down, he'll get to the line, and he will take provisional sprint pole with a 40.954. That's a great lap time. His teammate of Fight Me Now bot's going to come line. Can he steal it away? No. He will start no better than 9th. Beat on the line. He's been improving by a lot. Will he find enough pace? He will not. He'll start 3rd. There's a McLaren to the line. Justin Scry, he'll come across the line in 7th. He'll stay on board with MacT now. As he comes to the line, Jordan goes 6th quickest. MacT jumps up into 4th. That's one of the Alpines. That's Kaname, only 5th quickest. Lurka, meanwhile, steals provisional pole away by less than 100th of a second. Can anybody do that, or will it be Lurka on sprint pole? I believe the last drivers to come to the line will be Mango. Firat will go 6th quickest. Mango was up a second through 2 sectors. going to be really trying to throw the car at the racetrack. Can he do anything about provisional pull in this sprint? Yes, he can. Mango will take provisional pull away. Big wiggle from Chenzo. Last driver with a chance to do anything about it. And I do not believe he got it, so it will be X-Mango on pole here in the sprint. And so that will be a great result for Mango. It is from Lurka and then Labobo. Frozen beats on Kaname, Firat, Mac T, Wessel, and Jordan are your top 10. Of course, top 8 get points in the sprint. And we'll see what happens. And we did drop that extra guy, luckily, but less than a 10th in it for Mango. I'm sure he'd be very happy with that result, as we will now head, of course, into the sprint race. Of course, going to be a brief pause on the grid for any drivers listening. It'll be a 1-minute break. And it does seem to be a little bit more overcast in this one, but going to be 8 laps. So, of course, going to be a bunch of drivers really throwing everything at this racetrack. And, of course, pole, definitely a big advantage here at Spa. As you get that inside line, turn 1. Of course, you do have the disadvantage of a potential slipstream all the way down to the Lacombe chicane. But yeah, as you can tell, I didn't do a whole ton of prep for this. I definitely have been dealing with a move recently. So still figuring that side of things out and getting back into the commentating swing of things. I'd imagine we're going to see mediums for the entirety of the grid in this one. We may see a couple of Brave Souls go to the soft compound tire, but that compound will almost certainly be completely dead at the end of the stint, and that'll put them under massive pressure. We could also see a couple of drivers maybe opting for a hard tire set. Maybe they're thinking, 2 mediums and a soft in the feature race, if that is even an option, which I don't know off the top of my head. I haven't done too many done a sprint practice weekend necessarily. So of course we'll just be waiting now to get underway in the next couple of seconds here. It shouldn't be too long, of course. And there is the ready up command, so we should be getting underway with the sprint in the next 30 seconds here. And we're going to be getting underway right now, 3, 4, and 5 lights, so it's going to be a very quick getting underway. That's a big jump for the Haas, but we are underway here as Fight Me Nowbot just getting off the line terribly. It is going to be Mango holding that lead into turn 1. There's Labobo looking at the inside of the Salver, and it's a good jump for Mango. Lurkup manages to hold on to P2. As we'll go ahead and throw up that tire graphic, and it is mediums for the entirety of the grid. We'll head through Radion and Eau Rouge for the first time, and it's a 4/10 advantage for the Red Bull. As you can see everybody fanning out as we head down the Camel Straight now. You can see everybody fanning out, trying to get moves done. You got a Haas looking to the outside of Lurka. Can he get it done under brakes? There's Lurka taking a peek to the inside. Frozen with a big move on Labobo to find the inside. And on lap number 1, there's already a bit of a breakaway. It's Frozen with a nice move early. There's Fira and Kaname battling in the background through the exit of Lacombe chicane. Mac T trying to find a move on Kaname. Can the Ferrari get it done? That might open the door for Wessel as well. Meanwhile, Lurka all over the back of Mango as we make our way into Sector 2. You can see Frozen utilizing all of the track on the outside there, trying to take full advantage of in-game track limits to open up Pouan there. And seemingly all good through the first part of the lap here, obviously with the exception of Fight Me Nowbot having, I think, just maybe slipping on the clutch there and picking up that drive-through penalty. But end of lap number 1, Mango still holding on to an advantage here, but it's only about half a second right now. And of course, it's going to be slipstream all the way back down into the bus stop chicane, and DRS, of course, going to be activated here on lap number 2, but everybody still seemingly alive. Common Emerge KDs swapping spaces at the back. So there's Mango now getting the power down, and will Lurka potentially have a lunge into turn 1 as we start lap number 2 of this sprint. You can see a couple of drivers struggling. Well, it's Rasta struggling to get the power down. That may have been a V-carb of Fira having a little bit of wheel spin as well. But DRS, of course, going to be activated here, and Lurka with a very nice run, especially not only compared to Mango, but compared to Frozen behind. potentially opening up that gap a little bit for Mango, as here they come down the Camel straight now. DRS going to be activated by Lurka for the first time. That gap at about 4.5 tenths. Lurka taking a peek to the inside, but the move not going to be on. Mango, with a good bit of straight line speed there, will hold on to the lead as we head into Lacombe for the second time, and the first time with DRS. Most of the field staying pretty solid here. Of course, with DRS being a much bigger factor in this year's game, passes in this middle sector are going to be all the more challenging, just due to, the track being a little bit tighter. Of course, there are your predicted race strategies. Almost certainly will be all no stops across the board, especially with everybody opting for that medium compound tire. Again, that dirty air just going to be a little bit more impactful. We'll go ahead and take a look briefly then at some of the position changes off the start, and it's 1 or 2 most of the way. Rompostrat with a great start. He's found 7 positions off of this start. As we're not saying he's Mango's coach in this one. I mean, he's doing it well. It's yellow flag in Sector 2. That is for Rosicic, who I believe has gone round. That is for Rosicic, who has gone round. So whereas one Salver fighting for the lead here, going to go to the inside in the bus stop. It's going to be side by side here through the final corner. A little bit of contact there, and that's going to put Lurka off. As of course, DRS will be activated. It's going to allow Frozen up the inside. Lurka now going to look into the outside. Frozen's going to have a run into the first corner, and now he'll go to the inside of Mango as they'll beat and bang. As we'll go ahead and get rid of that menu there. Mango still managing to hold on after he's being put under massive pressure. Fighting Nowbot, I think, maybe with a slight mistake, same as Rasta. Mango now with a great jump. He's up about half a second now. So now it'll be Frozen and Lurka potentially battling into the Lacombe chicane. There is our first retirement of the sprint. We'll head now down to the Lacombe chicane. Mango still looking to hold the advantage. Frozen going to have a peek to the inside. Mango will give him room. They're going to beat and bang. They're going to get almost a little bit connected, but Mango's still managing to hold on to the lead here. As a big pack here going, that's going to be 2 by 2 behind Mango. You got Bobo trying to find the outside of Lurka. Can he potentially get that move done? You got the V-Cart with the big slide, and that's Mac Teague having to dive out of the way. That's going to start to open up this pack a little bit. There's B-Tom now looking to the inside of Labobo. But again, not able to quite find that move. And see, this pack just very tight. B-Tom, I think, showing a lot of pace, wanting to use more of it, but just not able to find the pass just yet. And Mango doing a good job at defending. You can see, I think, Lurka potentially going with a more quality-focused setup. I think maybe those rear tires starting to hurt a little bit. See a bit of a wiggle there. We'll head down into the bus stop once again. I think you see some of the tactics coming in from Frozen is potentially going a little bit lower on the ERS deployment. Lurka going to peek to the inside, but going to think better of it and tuck back in. And we'll come to start lap number 4. At the halfway point, it's been a ton of close racing here. Though certainly a big DRS train behind the South African. A bit of a lockup there. Big slide through the first corner. That's going to really disadvantage Mango as we run down the hill into Radion and Eau Rouge once again. And this time, Mango might not have anything to be able to do as a gap 3.5 tenths behind. You can see Frozen with a pretty solid run here. Going to be closing within 3 tenths, within 2 tenths. Mango going to defend the middle of the racetrack. Frozen going to go outside this time. And Frozen will take the lead here in the sprint on lap number 4. That's our first official lead change in this one, as the Alpine now takes the lead. B-Tom, also as I was keeping an eye on that, did manage to get past Labobo. So he's now up into 4th. Jordan Wessel also swapping spaces a little bit, or swapping places rather, a little bit further back. So it's now, is this Frozen's opportunity to start to make a bit of a breakaway? His teammate Kaname, of course, the current championship leader, last of the point scorers as of now. And Mango now, I think, also having to deal with that dirty air from off the back of Frozen's car. Potentially also trying to dump a lot of ERS to try and hold on to that position, as he's now losing a lot of time. So Frozen really utilizing that clean air, and will Mango potentially not have a lot of grip, a lot of resources even, to hold back Lurka. He is pulling away without DRS advantage. As, of course, both rear wings will be close, so Mango potentially running a little bit more straight-line speed in this one, and that work to his advantage, as he will have DRS twice here. Kaname and Macti now going to swap places as we come through the bus stop chicane. It's a nice move from Kaname to find a place. But Mango going to have to do a lot here through the first corner. Really going to have to focus on getting this exit down if he wants to hold on to the RS advantage, and it will be a good exit for the Red Bull driver. Better exit as well than Lurka behind him, where that gap behind is 7/10 as we pass the halfway mark. So we're just waiting on BXT to get in here. DRS going to open up on Mango's car, as here comes Lurka with a huge run through Radion and Eau Rouge. I think may have caught Mango napping. They'll go side by side here through Lacombe, and it's Mango doing a nice job to stay out front, being a bit braver, I think. And also, Lurka not going to have a lot of room there on the outside. And Lurka almost with a really brave move there. But I think Mango, realizing that he had that run, realizing he had that opportunity to dive, to try and get back in there, doing a nice job. The gap to Frozen up ahead, up to about a second. So we'll see what all changes. B-Tom's still there in fourth. You can see Jordan and Wessel battling there in the background as they try to chase down Nakti to try and grab a point. Safety car would be nice. At this point, I don't think we'll get one, BXT. Especially, and then once we hit lap 6, I believe that safety car is effectively disabled. But Mango going to be under pressure here once again as the gap is now opened up to a 1.5 seconds as Frozen has really started to pull away in the back half of the sprint after getting that move done. Yellow flag back in Sector 2. That is for Fight Me Nowbot, who has made a mistake, and he's lost a front wing. So if we were going to get a safety car, now would be the time. But as we start lap 6, I believe that will be disabled. So Lurka, great run there out of the final corner. The gap going to be very tight as we run through turn 1. So we'll keep an eye on this battle for second as we head into Radion and Eau Rouge again. I think it's going to be a lot like that battle for the lead there, as Mango, I think just without DRS, not much he's going to be able to do. The gap 2/10, B-Tom closing as well, so we could see a 3-car fight here as Mango, driver either side, and it's going to be green on either side. Who's going to be in the later breaker as we get into Lacombe? B-Tom with a better run. Lurka going to be able to carry a little bit more speed around the outside. Who's going to hold on as we come out of it? It will be B-Tom with a brave move to get both drivers down the inside there. Here comes Lurka, though. He's not done. Is he going to try to find the inside of B-Tom? He will not, as B-Tom, again, just able to carry that little bit more speed through the corner. And I think definitely a little bit of a code brown there for Mango, as well as, I'm sure, a couple of people watching as they went 3 wide there. But it's a great move from B-Tom as he's now up into third, and it'll be 2 to go next time we cross the line. Of course, Lobobo going to be putting Mango under pressure here now. Bronco, I think Jordan potentially making a mistake at some point in that lap as well, as he's kind of fallen back a little bit. And you can see, I think he's starting to struggle with some tire wear. No damage on his car, but he has fallen behind Bronco, and that gap has started to open up. But it'll be lap number 7 here, and I think Frozen's got this all but on lock. You got Lobobo trying to find the outside of Mango there at the bus stop, but not able to quite lock it down on the exit. So that'll be B-Tom's turn to lead as we blast down the Kemmel Straight, or at least lead this chase pack. Looked like contact behind between Fira and Kaname, as I think Kaname tried to find the inside into turn 1 with maybe a little bit of a lockup. T-Bone, I think that applies as long as your name doesn't, as long as your name isn't a certain type of weapon or a certain type of walking. But here comes Lurka to the inside of B-Tom. They'll be side by side once again through Lacombe. Fira is out, as there was a big incident. I missed what just happened, just trying to make that joke. And that's Fira out. He's in the middle of the racetrack, and that's going to cause chaos behind. There's Emerge KDs who's gone round. What happened there? No, I was referring to one Lance Stroll, T-Bone, and you distracted me a little bit. Actually, I think that was a manual retirement for Firat. And now Kaname's gotten caught up in an incident as he's in the gravel. What happened there a little bit further back? Well, the championship leader now falling well off the back. That's now allowed MacT and both Mercedes up into the points. But a bit of carnage here on lap 7. Again, I'm not sure entirely what happened. I think it might have been Firat and Kaname may have come together. I think it was a manual retirement anyways, BXT, so I don't think it would have even brought out the safety car. But we'll come to the line to start the final lap, and it's now become a much smaller battle for P2. As we'll go ahead and start that final lap, B-Tom has to defend one more time, at least in terms of DRS. Not a great run, though, through turn one. We'll see if Lurka does a good job at getting the power down. Emerge KDs is now out. Did he have a coming together with Kaname again? As I think Kaname having a couple of incidents there. Not sure exactly what happened. We'll keep an eye on this P2 fight as B-Tom, I think, will manage to pull away here from Lurka. Will Mango have anything to say about Lurka as we head into the final corner, as there is Kaname retiring? The Mercedes of Wessel and Rompo will swap spots meanwhile, as they look to hold off a charging Justin Scry. But yeah, ultimately, I'm not sure what happened there. Definitely going to have to see the check to see if we get any footage to see exactly what happens there. What happened there? May have been a 3-wide scenario as well. But we'll have to wait and see. B-Tom, though, managing to hold off. And I think this will likely be your final results here. As Mac T now trying to get that breakaway. Will Mac T hold on? Will B-Tom hold on? I think one question for sure as we head through Sector 3 is that Frozen will be in the clear here. It's a 3.2 second advantage. And we said the same thing at the opening round at Circuit of the Americas. He just dropped it a little bit there. He will hold on this time, and it will be Frozen winning the sprint here at Spa. They'll come through the final corner now. It'll be B-Tom in second, Lurka in third, Mango will come across the line in fourth, followed by Lobobo. Mac T, Wessel, and Rompo will then round out your points. And with that, we'll head right into the feature race here, as we have our brief snapshot into that one. But yeah, definitely a good bit of chaos there, a good chunk of battles as well. But there is our points, and I'm going to pull this for my purposes for later. That's a good thing we have that. Yeah, find me now about picking up a bunch of penalties as well. I think just after picking up the damage, just cut a couple of corners, trying to get back to the pits. But yeah, there is your result. It's Frozen winning from fourth, but I think still solid results for everybody there that finished in the points. And I'll be rather happy with that result. But of course, we'll now move into feature qualifying. For PXT, if you can give me a heads up, is what your ETA is at, because now you've got about 18 minutes, so time will be counting down. At 8 points for Frozen, 7 for B-Tom. So some solid results there. Should probably grab a water. I think also caffeine is wearing off because I had a lot to do this morning, so Celsius may not have been the best choice. But of course, we'll wait to see there. But there is feature quality, and I imagine we're going to be in another kind of brief loading screen here, so I'm actually going to go ahead and BXT is not online, so I will send him an invite, which I think you can't see my screen. Yeah, you can't see the screen right now. You can only see that pause menu. We'll go ahead and send him that. Of course, I think we are now officially into feature quality. I'm actually going to go get myself a drink because I'm about to roll skis. So, brief pause and commentary as I walk to my kitchen to grab a glass because we are professional here. We're really not. I'm just here so I don't get fined. Also, the audio probably sucks because the kitchen is a much longer not. Well, it helps if I can speak English. My kitchen is a much longer walk away now. Helped by grip strength. I don't believe there's any cars out on the track because I feel like I would hear one, though I could be wrong. Never mind, bottle one opens for grabbing a beer. As there is, I believe, our first cars coming on track. Excuse the opening and bottle is popping. We'll jump now. There we go. Now we're set for a feature race. As there are the first couple of cars heading out onto the circuit. And once again, it's going to be an Alpine leading us out. We'll be Frozen. The jump. But of course, 18 minutes, so we'll see a little bit more track evolution this time around. We'll go ahead and throw up tires as well. Fiat going out on a set of inters, so definitely interested as to what's going on there. Yeah. Again, gonna try to hold on to my mouth a little bit. But we will head through Radion and Eau Rouge for the first time. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the lap data here just so we can see sector times. Frozen, gonna be the first one to get the lap on the board, 30.3 through sector 1. With a nice run there. Not, doing a nice job holding on to that car as well, not utilizing all the track necessarily on the exit, and of course carrying a good chunk of speed there through sector 2. Yeah, we'll just stay on board. We'll give you an onboard, actually, with the sprint winner. Of course, we're really taking the esports line through there. Taking 5th gear through, I believe it's Campus. Getting that corner's Campus for this one. Bit of a lock up there, bit of a slide, so not quite perfect there. The 13-2 through the first 2 sectors. Of course, heading back down into the bus stop now. Of course, this beer I will not spill all over my desk because I'm not sitting at my desk anymore. So that'll be certainly a good thing. Frozen coming to the bus stop now. It'll be the first time in this final session. Looks to have a really good run there through the bus stop, though. For the first lap time on the board, it's a 40.9. So a really good first lap time there for Frozen. As he looks to try and potentially repeat here in the feature session. Crazy Ria Tudo with an invalidation there. So we'll jump on board with Tom as he makes his way through the end of Sector 2. Again, really utilizing all the track on exit. I believe it was a 13, it was a 13-something for Frozen. So Tom going to have a lot of work to do. Probably going to be a good bit further back as he heads through the final couple of corners now. I believe that is the V-carb of Fiat up ahead as well on a set of inters. It is, because I believe I saw a flashing light there. Actually, no, that is Emerge KD is ahead of him, who was also on a lap. So the Red Bull and the Racing Bull come through the final corners to the line now. DR is going to open. Emerge 42.9, 42.3 from Tom. Let's get first lap times start to get up on the board. Okay, Osama 42.6, so a nice lap time there. Fiat, of course, getting underway with an invalidation there. Crazy Ritudo, purple sector 1 popping up. We will jump. No, Kaname's in the pits, fighting me now, bot, making his way through the final sector. 13.7. So I think a pretty solid lap from Fight Me Now bot here. As he'll run down into the bus stop now. So let's see if Hacks can potentially put up a comfortable lap time. Of course, going to be diving here hard on the brakes. Looks to be pretty comfortable, not really attacking that final chicane quite as much as Frozen was, and a little bit more tentative on the power as well. 41.5 though, so still a very respectable lap time, and a lap time that for the time being will put him into second place. Jersey Riatudo, I believe, on a bit of an in-lap right now. So again, not too many drivers out on track. Jordan to Wavy, just getting underway. Crazy Ritudo, I think, will be getting a lap time on the board. It'll be at 43.0, so we'll see if he improves at all. I think that is a bit of a 4-lap old soft set, though. So I imagine we'll see a significant improvement from him. But I imagine, again, just to get a lap time on the board in this session. Justin Scry underway, Jordan to Wavy underway, Firat coming to the end of his lap again on a set of inters there. So again, we'll see how that continues, but not a lot of drivers towards the end of their laps. Rasta, though, getting underway. Allow me a chance to see if VXT is online, which, again, he is not quite yet. So hopefully we do get that 20th driver. But a lot of drivers, I think, taking this qualifying session here a bit slower. There is Rasta now looking to get underway. Of course, trying to get a slow run through the final couple of corners there, just try to get as much lap time as possible. Jordan now making his way into the final sector, and it's 14-1 through sectors 1 and 2 for him. Still now blast down into the final couple of corners. So we'll see where the Aston Martin can slot into the starting order. Justin Scry as well up behind him. We'll jump to him in a second. I believe he's acting towards the backside of his lap. Here comes Jordan powering to the line. 42.004. So good enough for third for Jordan to Wavy. That's a very solid lap. Justin Scry, meanwhile, hasn't validated, so McLaren will not have a lap time this time around. As again, drivers, I think, really just trying to utilize all of the track possible. We'll jump on board with Rasticic then, as he makes his way through Sector 2. Again, I think just trying to get a bunch of drivers here, just trying to get a banker lap on the board. Lurka as well, getting started with his lap. With VXT, if you are listening, you have just under 10 minutes now. So clock is winding down. We'll blast down to the bus stop once again. Of course, full throttle for a very long time here at Spa. Of course, down into the bus stop now. Rosticic looking fairly comfortable here through the early part of this lap. Can he put it all together at the end? I definitely don't think it's going to be a pole lap, because that lap in Frozen is massively quick, especially for a banker. Here comes Ross to the line. Good enough for fourth, though. So again, bunch of very solid lap times being thrown down in the early stages of qualifying. Lurka making his way through the middle sector. Is anybody else on a lap right now? Obviously, Kaname working his way through the middle sector. I believe B-Tom on an out lap. So we'll jump on board with Lurka, who, of course, fought for pole in the sprint, and, of course, still put up a very solid result. As here he comes to the final couple of corners, 13.3. So Lurka certainly on a fast lap. As can the Sauber potentially challenge the Alpine here for provisional pole. I think Frozen showing that he had a ton of race pace, but could that singular point here in feature quality work to Lurka's advantage? He'll come through the final couple of corners and power to the line. Can he do anything about provisional pole? He cannot, but it's very, very tight between Frozen and Lurka with the first lap on the board. Kaname will, meanwhile, slot into third for the time being. I believe there's Lobobo coming now down into the bus stop as well. Hopefully he'll be able to avoid a little bit of traffic, which it looks like he will, as a couple of drivers looking to get underway with their next laps. Here comes the Haas out of the bus stop end of the line. DRS going to be wide open. It's going to be a good lap time from Lobobo as he'll slot into third. And again, not too far off of that time of Frozen. Only about 2.5 tenths. Which again is, on his shorter track a much more significant amount of time. Considering how long this lap is, a quarter of a second, not that much time. Here comes McT now through the final couple of corners. He's looking to have a solid lap time. He'll slide in with a 41.3. That'll split up the Hess and the Alpine. Got another driver behind him. I believe it's a Williams just getting underway. It looks to be Wessel or Rompo coming in line. Rompo strats the line. He'll slide into 6th with his first effort of 41.5 as we get under 7 minutes left to go in the session. So again, a number of drivers getting their first efforts on board at this stage. I think just trying to save potentially some of those extra sets of tires. Could a couple of drivers be thinking to stop here? I think it's certainly an interesting question to ask. We'll stay on board with Firat in the B car as he makes his way into Sector 3. May pick up a little bit of a tow from the Alpine ahead, who is going to try to dive out of the way, not give the Racing Bulls too much of an advantage. But here comes Firat now, bouncing down in the final couple of corners. Behind him as well will be Mango. Here comes Firat through the final couple of corners. Big slide there, trying to get the power down. Going to be up over 41. It's going to be a 41.7 for him. That'll slot into P8. Here comes Mango to the line now. 41.0, so good enough for third. But about a 10th off that provisional pole from Frozen. So again, a number of drivers just getting those first efforts on the board. We'll jump on board B-Tom through the final corner. He'll slot into 6th. So he will jump ahead of Kaname, but still has to find about half a second here if he wants to improve. So we'll see just how much track evolution could play a factor here. As I definitely expect that provisional pole time to drop off rather significantly. Got a Williams there on a lap. Is that Chenzo? Chenzo is not on a lap here. So again, I think a bunch of drivers on in-laps here. Wessel maybe on a bit of a push here. Yeah, Wessel is going to be out of fuel, though, so that would not be a full push lap. Same with Rompo. We'll, of course, be waiting here as we make our way around. And BXT is online, so we're going to be trying to get him into the race. So I'll go ahead and shoot him that invite. And there is our final driver. So we will have 20 drivers for this session. BXT going to have an opportunity to get a lap in. But again, you can see a bunch of drivers taking as little fuel as possible, so running out of fuel really early in that lap. You can go all the way down to really 2.2 laps of fuel, especially for those final runs. It's probably going to be the level of fuel we'll see all of our drivers run. Is that in the But Frozen is out on track a little bit early here. Is up through Sector 1. He's actually going to back off here. So I think we're seeing Frozen kind of double outlapping here, as there is BXT loading in. So he will be all set. So I think Frozen trying to double outlap a set of softs. It's a long lap. I don't know if those softs will be best utilized at that range. Of course, we'll have to wait and see, but I imagine that's going to be a bit of a gamble. And the question is, how much time will that give Frozen? Jump back ahead of the Mercedes, but will be really the lone driver out on track. The only other driver fighting out, there's also the McLaren of Kei Osama also making his way out. But 3.5 minutes left to go in the session. I imagine we're going to see the same flood of cars come out on the track at the end of this lap. That's a bit of a mistake there from Frozen. That's going to lose him a whole bunch of time, as through turn 1, Frozen getting it wrong. And that'll probably be qualifying over for him. As he got all over that sausage curve on the exit of turn 1, he's going to really have to find a lot of time in the back half of this racetrack if he wants to extend that pole advantage. He's about maxed that first lap time. So how much ERS did he have to potentially dump to try and gain some of that back? Unless I'm completely overreacting here, which is absolutely possible. There seemed to be a bit of a mistake there for the man taking the win in the sprint. Blast down the hill now into that long left-hander of turn number 12. You can see everybody starting to pile out of the pits as we cross under that 2.5-minute mark. As all drivers, of course, going to be wanting to try and get as much space on track as possible. Fighting Albot getting underway with his lap. Frozen is improving through 2 sectors. But again, will it be enough? Lurka doesn't need that much time. Mango doesn't need that much time. Could Bogo potentially steal a pole away? Beatom and Kaname, of course, not necessarily far off either. Especially with how much this track could evolve over this final qualifying session. Through the bus stop now comes Frozen. He'll put the power down as he comes to the line, and he will improve, but only by about a tenth will be Frozen's final effort of the session, as he'll go ahead and throw his car into that outside wall there. It'll stay out of everybody's way, at least. But that'll be his qualifying over. Finding Albot, though, finding 3/10 through Sector 1. He'll have to manage some traffic, though, as he makes his way around the lap. Of course, the Aston Martin there diving out of the way. But Finding Albot on a bit of a push lap there, really attacking that inside curb, getting a little bit loose. T-Bone, I don't see exactly what that is. I'll have to check exactly what you're saying here, but Fighting Albot working his way through the middle sector. T-Bone, we are full is the only issue. Fighting Albot, though, losing a lot of time in that middle sector. He's only up a tenth now. But has he held on to enough energy to potentially push down the back half of this lap? Was currently starting in P9. But did lap traffic potentially impact his lap? It may again here, as have to go to the inside of the Racing Bulls, and he's going to collide. That's going to be the V-Carb and the Haas coming together. Fighting Albot and Fiat collide. As a bit of a miscommunication there. And Fighting Albot, I think, going to be very upset with that. And again, at the end of qualifying, we have more drama as Fighting Albot will pick up that 5th-place grid penalty. And again, gonna have to go to review there. Lurka getting underway, though. Labobo will not improve from P4. Lurka coming into Sector 1. He is up. Mango getting underway with his lap. Matt T has about matched his first sector. B-Tom, though, on a bit of a push lap. Kaname has only about matched his first sector as well. Will stay on board with the Alpine through the rest of this lap. See if he can pull anything out. In the much more downforce-focused middle sector, Kei Osama has left the session. So hopefully we can get him back in for the race. Fighting Albot will retire as well. But Kaname only finding a 10th.5 through 2 sectors, so he probably will not be in the fight for provisional pole. There's Rompo straight to the line. He'll come across the line in 7th. Justin Scry now coming to the line with his first and only valid lap of the session. He'll jump up only into 14th. Mac T now making his way through the final sector. You got a Sauber on the inside as well. B-Tom going to retire as he's made a mistake, so B-Tom will not improve. Lurka's found 2/10 through 2 sectors. Where's Mango at? He's almost towards the end of Sector 2. Rosticic will start from the back as he gets disqualified from the session. As numerous incidents here. Can Lurka steal provisional pole away? He'll come through the final couple of corners. Rosticic again, disqualified there. He'll start from the back. Lurka will steal provisional pole. Can Mango do anything about it? He's got a 10th.5. T-Bone, we can't get Owen in because we are at the max of 22, with Stratting being the host in this one. Fira will cross the line. He'll start 5th. Kadami will start 6th. Mac T 7th. Mango going to be, I think, the last driver with a potential shot at pole position. He'll come through the final corner. Can the Red Bull take back-to-back pole positions in the quality and the sprint? He will not by 0.005 of a second. It'll be Lurka on pole. And it's the Sauber this time who will take it. Kaname, of course, still a solid result there in 6th. As again, a whole bunch of stuff going down here. As yeah, Lurka will start on pole, but very tight up the front between Lurka, Mango, and Frozen. Bobos, I think, still in a solid spot there in 4th, Firat in 5th, followed by Kaname, Macti, Wessel, B-Tom, and Rompo will round out your top 10. We will go back on the grid and get ready to get underway here. But again, I imagine it'll be about 90 seconds here before we do get underway. I'll go ahead and actually start that clock myself. Set it to a minute, because it'll probably take a minute to get it rolling. Again, I think going to be really tight here. Of course, yeah, I imagine we'll see a couple of different strategies in this one, just through some of my testing. You can make a one-stop medium to hard work, but I think tire is definitely going to be a bit worn out towards the end of this one. Again, it will be good to see a full set of 20 drivers on the grid. But yeah, my mouth's getting rather worn out here. I can't imagine how some drivers feel, as I imagine this race will certainly be fairly draining. Of course, 30 laps of Spa at this speed. Certainly not experiencing the G-forces, but certainly will be just as tiring. As there is the ready up command, so we will get back underway here in just a few seconds' time. Again, it'll be a bit of a surprise here as to when we do get underway. I do need to re-invite. I don't think Ko Sama accepted that friend's invite, so he will not pop up here. So sadly, I don't know if I can get him back in. I don't remember which which platform he was on. Just waiting here to see us get underway. Still waiting for players. Somebody hit a drum roll. So we should be getting started here. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 lights. And we're back underway here at Spa. And this time, everybody away cleanly. Good jump for Mango. Good jump as well for Frozen, who will immediately look to the outside. It's 3 wide there briefly through turn 1. And Frozen and Lobobo going to get connected. It's going to be Frozen around the outside. There's a Ferrari who's gone around. Matt T into the gravel. As way more chaotic this time round. There's a bunch of ghosting going on. But it is Mango taking the lead here on that one. Lurga's dropped all the way to 4th. And I don't know if anybody picked up damage in that one, but of course everybody's spraying out all over the track. There is your predicted race strategy as well. 2 stops being predicted for the majority of the grid. Furat getting by Lurka as well. So potentially the Salvador picking up damage in that 3-wide incident. There's Furat with a big wiggle there. There's yellow flags behind as we saw a piece of, I think, front wing there go flying. But a lot more chaos here in the early laps. Firat opting for mediums. There's Kaname dropping down the orders. Kaname getting into an incident again, and he's again ended up in the gravel. That's just going to go from bad to worse for the championship leader. So here on lap number 1, once again, it's Mango leading. Is there damage on that Sauber? Nothing visual, so potentially it's just the higher fuel catching out Lurka in that Sauber. Now I guess we're back underway cleanly. I think Rasta having force feedback issues, so sadly I don't think he'll be able to continue. So I think that's why the Sauber so far back. Chenzo and Emerge KD swapping spots as we head down this back straight here. But already the pack's starting to spread out a little bit. You got Mango being pressured for the lead. Here comes Frozen looking to make a move. Will he get it done early into turn 1? Mango going to defend the middle of the racetrack. Of course, DRS going to be enabled, so Frozen going to hold back, and Bobo in the back of Frozen there briefly. As I think we could very easily here see what we saw on the on lap, I believe it was 4 or 5 of the sprint, where we saw that 3 wide moment. DRS going to open up. This time it's going to be the Alpine and the Haas. We'll both get by Mango here. Mango going to defend the inside. Frozen going to go to the outside. And he will get that move done. Mango looked to be very close there for a second, as Mango with a bit of lag there, but man, keep it out of the back of Frozen. Will go ahead and take the lead here. You can see gaps already starting to open up. You got a Mercedes as Wessel has gone deep. As there's 2 very fast retirements here. one of the pits. The other has gotten cleared rather quickly, so no safety car. As the other yellow flag is Sir Rosicic, who is struggling with that force feedback. Frozen will hold on to the lead here on lap number 2, however, and will push off. So I think Kaname got caught up with an incident there with Wessel, as Kaname well off the back of this pack, or well off the back of anybody, as Kaname just having an awful time of things here at Spa. I think Wessel only up to a potential mistake there. Potentially just tried to be a little bit too brave on the brakes and unable to get it done. Lap number 2 though, and Mango doing I think a much better job this time of keeping with Frozen. Potentially with this being a shorter session, or being a longer session rather, as opposed to the shorter session of the sprint, Frozen, and being maybe a little bit more conservative with some of that battery usage, as well as smooth getting done on fresher tires. So that will allow Mango an opportunity to get this pass redone within a quarter of a second now. Of course, 30 through ready on Eau Rouge means they'll have to scrub a little bit of speed, but very tight is the Red Bull and the Alpine. And this time around, it'll be Mango's rear wing opening up. Kaname going to defend the left-hand side. There's the Red Bull going to the inside now. It's going to be about a length ahead, and he will have the space to slide in front of Frozen. And Mango retakes the lead here at the start of lap early on lap number 3. Lurker and Firat, meanwhile, closed up. B-Tom is still in there. Yellow flag in sector 1 is there's another car that's gone round. As I believe it's a Merge KDs and Justin Scry who have come together. As there's cars into the gravel once again. There's so much chaos happening here. And I think it's just drivers potentially being not as used to the heavier fuel loads. Which means that I think we're seeing more coming together. Oh, bit of a voice crack there. Lap number 3 here, and that's basically 4 more cars who are effectively out of this one. We'll head to the bus stop for the 3rd time. That's Mango only with a 3/10 gap. Of course, will have the advantage of that clean air. Kaname going in the back of him. You got Lurka, I think, getting a move down the outside. I think Firat tried to get a brave move there. Unable to do anything with it, though. This Fight Me Now bot now gets a 10-second penalty for corner cutting there. Was that due to potentially dodging an incident? I am not sure, but that'll have to be searched. Sadly, that will not be removed. Lap 4, though, and I imagine we're about to see another lead change here. As Fight Me Now bot now will retire from the session. So 3 retirements in about as many laps. I imagine we could see 2 more here with a Merge and Scry. Here comes Frozen now, looking to the outside. Will he get it done? There are 2 more retirements. So yeah, sadly this race has been nowhere near as clean. We make our way through the middle sector here. I think this time making it through cleanly as the pack has started to spread out a little bit. Lap number 4 here, already down to 15 drivers. Frozen up potentially with an opportunity here to start to pull away, as Mango unable to get past him that last time round. So I think that extra tire wear from the controller, more of an impact now, and you can see Mango getting into the gravel, being all over the place, getting up on that curb to the inside, into the gravel again. As Mango really starting to struggle with that dirty air, and again, this, I think, will allow Frozen to start to make that breakaway. Unless the drivers behind start to work together, that could be race done, as we've seen Frozen just pull away during this race. So let's see what happens. I might imagine Bobo will get through here. So you got B-Tom there in 6th. Frozen setting a new fast lap of the race. See, up there for P2. Are we going to have a move to the inside into turn 1? No, the Haas going to hold back for the moment, but going to be all up inside of Mango's gearbox. Now I imagine should be all set. We'll head to Radion Rouge again. There is Frozen blasting up the hill. The Haas holding back, and now he'll take off. DRS can open now. And here comes Lebobo. He's going to look to the outside here as Mango defends the middle. He will get a length ahead. Here comes the Sauber to the outside. Mango going to try to make sure it's only one driver getting past, though, and he will. He'll manage to keep Lurka behind there and put him under threat from the Racing Bull behind. And there's Fira and Lurka going to go side by side. Fira with a nice move to the inside there, as he manages to get that done. So B-Tom now potentially going to try to get that move done. The pass of Bobo, I think, doing a nice job. Already starting to close that gap down to 1.2 seconds. That pass again, clean air is going to be the big story through this middle sector. There's a gap ahead. You get that DRS advantage. You can really start to maybe utilize some of that extra pace in your car. It seems to be just kind of a miscommunication, at least, between Emerge and Scry is what led to them going off. I think them just looking at, just kind of getting side by side, and of course some of the unfortunate timing of this game sometimes. It's just that the contact model, not that great, but seemingly all good there. Gap up front, 1.3 seconds now as we start lap number 6. Big lock up there from Bobo, though, as he'll look to pull away. Crazy Riatudo into the pits early here is the Williams, as I think he's almost certainly thinking two-stop. So he'll go ahead and slap a set of hard tires on. So I imagine he'll go medium, hard, medium. So we'll see how that works. You got the Sauber of Lurka now defending from B-Tom, as he'll defend that inside. He'll keep the Aston Martin behind as we head into the Lacombe chicane. So head down into the bus stop once again. That guy holding solid now at about a second and a half. And Mango just doing a nice job of holding station here. Of course, you got Firat, I think, starting to potentially try to make some of those hard tires work. And again, I think we're getting into a little bit of the DRS train mode here. As Chenzo going to dive into the pits, so Chenzo certainly thinking two-stop. Again, I think a lot of that dirty air is proven to be a factor as to why you're seeing a couple of cars come into the pits this early. Mango now going to be under threat from the Racing Bulls of Firat, however. Stand forward as the sister teams look to go to battle. Both cars with DRS. Going to be the Racing Bulls going to the outside here. Going to be a bit of ghosting, though, as they'll stay ghosted here. So I guess connection issues starting to be a little bit of a factor. So Mango will hold on here. Here on lap number 7. As we'll continue to make our way as we'll blast down from the top of the racetrack. I think Rompo running solidly. As we hit that kind of 1/3 mark, we'll go ahead and take a quick look at some of the position changes. Of course, got the top two both jumping up 2 places each. Got Mango dropping 1, got Lurka dropping 4 from provisional pole, or from, I shouldn't say provisional pole, from pole. Of course, Wessel got caught up in that incident early. Kaname getting caught up on, I think, 2 incidents. The XT on for a solid race, though, he's gained 5 spots. Of course, coming in and only really getting 1 quality lap. Crazy Riatudo as well, up 5 spots. So I think it's just mainly due to the fact that he has been able to kind of stay in this race. Lap 7, though. I think Bobo doing a nice job of keeping that gap at a solid about 1.5 seconds. I think a bunch of drivers kind of fallen into a bit of race management mode here. Mango going to dive into the pits. That'll clear up Birat to potentially go on a charge. Is Mango going to dive in the pits? He will get it slowed down, though. So that'll allow the Racing Bulls to potentially start to utilize those hard compound tires in a little bit of free air. As actually, as I was saying, maybe a bit of race management mode here for the Haas of Bobo. Going to open up that gap a little bit. It's potentially a bit of a mistake there through the bus stop. That's going to allow Firat to close up. And so DRS is going to be activated, I believe, here for the Racing Bulls. No, it will not. He'll just have Slipstream here. But I think he's really starting to utilize that compound tire. Lurker once again going to defend the inside and going to hold on to B-Tom, but going to go really deep here. It's going to allow B-Tom an opportunity to try and sweep around the outside, but not able to quite find the move. Can he get the switchback, though, as we head down into this downhill right-hander? Again, not able to find the move. And B-Tom being held up here by the Sauber. Again, just looking to hold on here. Mango has swapped over to a hard compound of tire. And we'll have a nice little bit of free air here to potentially just go and time trial this thing. Of course, we'll be trying to kind of double undercut it here. Trying to make those hard laps potentially go to a soft if he's managed to keep a set. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But 2 seconds, yeah, at the front. Then it's a second back from Bobo to Firat. I think going to be really pushing here down this back straight. Trying to get within DRS range, which he has. Will Lurka do the same? Because that could prove the difference in his battle with B-Tom. He won't have it down the pit straight. So he'll actually dive in the pits. B-Tom will follow. We got a bunch of cars diving in the pits. Bobo, Lurka, B-Tom. And Pompo in, Tom in, BXT in. And we got an absolute flood of cars coming into the pits. And I imagine this is all going to be for the hard compound tire, as there will be hards slapped on. It's going to be hards for everybody. It looks like it will. It will be the Haas out in front, as I think, no, there is Lurka out. But will be Bobo continuing to lead. Mango getting a bit of an undercut done. So the undercut works for Mango here. And is this an opportunity for him to start to pull away now? Though I think the big question for him is, can he make those hards last? I think for the rest of the grid, will these hards last the rest of the race comfortably? I think is going to be a big question, but Mango going to have a huge advantage here to start off with the chase pack coming from behind, as those hards going to be nicely up to temperature. Which we've seen Bobo has a really good bit of pace compared to some of those drivers a bit further ahead. Of course, we can see Firat there in the background, only 3 seconds back of Frozen. So he's running rather nicely at this stage. And you can see Frozen taking a little bit of gravel there. That's going to lose him a little bit of time. You can see Firat, I think, carrying a lot more speed there as we come on this back straight. And that'll, of course, benefit him all the way back down into the bus stop. So he'll just have all that more top speed. We'll continue to race here on lap number 9. What will the leader of Frozen do? He'll dive in the pits here, so Frozen thinks those tires are done. Kaname has now left the session, so I'm not sure if that's a disconnect or he's just done. But that will allow Firat to take the lead. I imagine we'll see Jordan in the pits here as well, which we will. And so now it's a question of where does Mango come out in relation to the man who was your leader just a moment ago. You can see him pulling out of his pit box there now. New fast lap of the race for Mango. So he'll come through La Source. And there is the man who was the race leader behind him. So Mango going to be the net leader for drivers who haven't stopped yet. And Frozen going to be under threat from Bobo here as they come up through Radion and Eau Rouge. How much speed can Frozen carry? It looks to be enough. But of course, Bobo is going to have those tires nice and warm for that middle sector. And going to have the opportunity to potentially hunt him down. Actually, he's not going to have a great run, though. And he'll have to keep Lurka behind. But Firat does lead here as we approach the midpoint of this race. Of course, Mango's still in a decent spot, I think. But again, going to be really under pressure here. Firat actually picks up a 3-second time penalty due to track limits there. So certainly not what you'd want to see. I think, again, Firat, if you're Firat, I think it's, again, you're just falling into that race management mode right now. And just trying to come out of the pits in a good position. You got to go another, at least 1 or 2 more laps if you want to then take a set of mediums to the end. And of course, he's going to have to get a lot of overtaking done. Of course, I think the undercut has proven to be pretty powerful here. So it'll be Mango this time leading the train. Firat will stay out for another lap, I think unsurprisingly here. We'll have to see what Mango does. Invite in case of a safety car. I got you. As long as I have them added, which I should. Alright, there is an invite Kaname. So you should be able to get back in. We'll stay on board with what will become the battle for the lead. I think Frozen has started to get those hards up to temperature. The gap only at around a second. I mean, he will be within DRS range. That'll allow him to pull away from Bobo. So Frozen now will start to close on the Red Bull. Again, it's going to be then 11 seconds up to Firat. Again, that gap just going to continuously come down here. See everybody really falling into race management mode. Lurka managing to get a move done. Yeah, he did get caught up in I think an incident on both lap 1 and lap 2, unfortunately. But yeah, I think he will be hoping for a bit of a safety car here. Though I think the Spa is probably, I think Spa in this game should be the closest to real-life Formula 1. Because I think you very rarely, because Dirty Air has proven to become more and more a factor, you're more starting to see some of these more stretched out battles where there's a bit more of a gap going on. I think because of the length of Spa, how harder it is to, really get down. Mango's tires will be done by, I can't see exactly what lap you're talking there, but I think especially being on controller, he's shooting for the 2-stop. So I think that's going to be the question for him. Firat will go for another lap. I imagine we'll see him come in at the end of this lap because I think he lost almost 2 seconds on that one. Mango's still running solidly, though. Managing to keep Frozen behind, though I don't imagine it'll be for much longer. It'll come into the Source hairpin. You can see Frozen really closed up to the back of Mango now. We got about 4/10 here. A pickup from Slipstream as we head down into Radion and Eau Rouge. For Mango, I don't think they're going to be leading for much longer. DRS about to open up for the Alpine as they blast by this camera. There is the rear wing open. I think Mango just not going to be able to do too much to defend. There's Frozen through. He's a car length ahead. And Frozen retakes the effective lead here in Belgium. Mango as well picks up a 3-second time penalty for his troubles. Bronco Strat as well, finding his way past Tom JM. So Ronco potentially looking for a little bit of clean air to try and score some decent points for Mercedes. Of course, Firat blasting down the hill here. That gap has come down massively now. It's come down almost 4 seconds from about a lap and a half ago. Has anyone of the people who are out left the lobby? I think most of them have. I think Rasta, Wessel, Scry, Kitties, and Bot. I think at this point we're just going to continue on at this stage because I don't think if I start a party now, there's an issue with party chat is the only thing there. I think, again, just going to kind of chill out for this stream as well. This Firat, will this be the lap the Racing Bulls dives into the pits? He will. So Firat will pit from the lead here. Yellow flag in Sector 3. That is for a Williams who's gone round. As I think Crazy Riatudo attacking the curb a little bit too much on the inside. That will cause him to go around. Firat, of course, trundling down the pits here. So it'll be interesting to see where exactly he comes out as he slaps on that medium compound tire. This will be an 8th temporarily, down to the 10th, and I think he'll come out behind that Williams, so he'll come out at the rear of the points with a chance to try and claw back some stuff. This Crazy Riatudo will retire in the pits there, as I think made a bit of a mistake on the pit straight. Lobovo, meanwhile, finds his way back past the Salver of Lurka as he continues to fight on for a podium position. Yeah, I believe that's Riatudo in the pits, so that's another retirement in this one. Frozen again, starting to just eke away here. I think if you're Mango behind as well, you want to see these drivers behind continue to fight. I think the question for Mango, though, is I think, Shenzo's basically on your strategy if you're thinking two-stop. I think that, the drivers ahead certainly going to be in a little bit of danger here. I think if you're Mango, it's when do you pull that trigger? Or do you think that you can take these hards through the rest of the race? Do you want to gamble on that one stop? But with the Haas closing, I don't know how much longer that thought process will carry on. As we blast down the backside of this racetrack now. Of course, no DRS going to be available. I think Bobo going to be wanting to try and get DRS on Mango ahead. And his defense of Lurka behind, I think the Haas has done it. As we'll keep an eye, and as that rear wing on the back of the Haas does open up, so Mango going to be put under pressure once again. Bit of a lockup there. Yeah, I think it's it's a midstream thing. B, I just kind of prefer doing my own thing. I think if I've definitely tried to do it in the past where I've started one and it hasn't been picked up on screen, just while I'm in the middle of streaming. And again, just kind of prefer to chill out and do my own thing, especially as we reach this point in the race. Here comes Lurka closing though. Is he going to make a move under braking on the Haas? No, he'll tuck back inside. As well, not the greatest run there on Mango. I think he's trying to close up this lap. Potentially on the next lap, we could see that move attempted. Frozen continuing to just eke away a little bit. I appreciate it, Owen. It's, again, just, a mix of, I know there's technical issues there. I prefer to do my own thing. Fear out, though, looking for the inside as he will find that move on BXT. As the V-Car, definitely going to be a driver to keep an eye on as this race does come towards its conclusion. Those mediums certainly going to be quick towards the latter stage of this race. And of course, should last a little bit longer considering those lighter fuel loads that are now in the back of his car. See, carrying a nice bit of speed as he's closed up that gap very quickly to Tom ahead. So could hard to medium potentially be more of the way to go. I think another question, will any of the drivers up ahead of him? Kaname as well. I completely understand staying in this race, though, because you're holding out for a potential safety car. A bit of a lockup there for Mango in the bus stop, but holding on. Yeah, again, I would rather be Kaname in this situation than any of the other drivers that are out of this race, because at this point, you still have an opportunity for a safety car, even if this race has really just not gone your way. You're hoping for that safety car, just trying to keep it going, trying to give yourself a shot at picking up any sort of points, especially after getting unlucky enough to get caught up in an incident. And I can definitely respect that. Here comes Bobo, though, closing on Mango. Going to have DRS advantage here. Can he get a missed lap? He will not. I think closing up very tightly there under braking is the Haas. Again, just not quite able to get it done. I think if you're Mango as well. I think Kaname this season, Kaname is our championship leader, but I think this race for sure has definitely been less fortunate for him. As he blasts through Poulan once again, you can see your leader of Frozen there in the foreground. But a pretty tight four-car race here for P2. So it'll be 7 to go next time we come across the line. And a bit further back, we got Firat trying to close down on Tom J. He has closed within DRS range of Tom and Rompo. But how quickly can the Racing Bulls get the move done is the question, because those mediums certainly won't last forever. He'll get that move done very quickly as I say that. Who won the sprint in G1? That went to Frozen as well. So yeah, Frozen was able to get a couple of moves done and then just kind of pull away from the pack. I believe it was Frozen from B-Tom from, I believe, Lurka, if my memory serves. Pass closing on the Red Bull once again. Mango, bit of a wiggle there, not getting the greatest exit, and so he's going to be put under real pressure here from Lurka and Bobo behind as we head through Radion and Eau Rouge now. These four continue to try and break away. You can see a bit low to understeer there for the Salver. The Haas going to go to the inside very early here down the Kemmel Straight. Mango going to try to give him a little bit of a squeeze. The Haas going to come back to the racing line. There's the Salver going to the inside of Mango as well. Can Lurka potentially use a bit of a carding trick to get past? He can. So that's going to be 2 places drop for Mango. Will it be 3 as B-Tom tries to take advantage as well? And he will, as Mango on those old tires, just not quite able to keep that momentum and will fall to the back of this straight. So we'll try to continue on here. Kaname will dive into the pits. And again, I think, at this point, if you're Kaname, maybe you're just trying to steal a fast lap away from your teammate. But again, the race not going anywhere close to playing. We'll keep an eye on that gap out in front, though. We did see Bobo close that gap a little bit to Kaname ahead during that first stint. So see if he's managed to kind of hold on to those hearts a little bit better. Lurka, of course, still within range of him. I think doing everything he can to try and break that DRS, but he has failed to. There is the backmarker, K-Osama, who did disconnect. So Bobo will pick up DRS down the pit straight here. But I don't think it'll be enough to try and break that DRS. So continue to see a battle here, continuing for P2. Also, as I was following this battle for a second, Firat managed to get ahead of Wombo Strat as well. So again, the Racing Bull going to be freed up to go charging after these cars up ahead. We got an early move attempted by Lurka, as he's really early going to try to get that inside line, and he will. And he'll still have DRS. Or does he? No, that Sauber head does have DRS. It's Bobo just able to tuck into the slipstream to manage to stay ahead of Beats on there. I think also dumping a good bit of battery is the Haas. Again, just managing to stick with this lead fight. But again, just going to continue to work in Frozen's favor here. As we head into Poulan once again, it's now a Sauber in that second place. I'm looking to pull away now. Lap 17 out of 22, so 5 laps left next time we come across the line. But still plenty of time left. It's going to be about, probably about 10 more minutes left of racing, which a lot can happen in 10 minutes. So let's see exactly what happens. Again, Firat closed up to the back of this pack rather quickly. Only 1.3 seconds now off the back of Mango. Oh, and I'm not even going to read that chat out because, yeah. 7 seconds is the gap up at the front as we'll start lap number 18. So now it'll be Lurka this time, leading without DRS assistance. Bit of a wiggle there from Bobo. Will that open the door for B-Tom? No, not this time. As Rombo actually going to dive into the pits here on lap number 18, and he'll retire from the session, surprisingly. So Rompo's done. But again, that's in the pits, so I don't know if he got damage potentially in that battle with Firat. But also, I think Mango making a bit of a mistake there. He's lost DRS. There's also the Haas with not a great run down the pit straight. That's a bit of a late move there. Is that going to open the door for B-Tom to slide down the inside? Big lock up there for the Aston Martin, who slots his way up into third. Can he hold on, though? Will he make a move in this middle sector? Once again, Lurka defending really aggressively here. Really wants to hold on to that P2. As Frozen just continues to pull away now. Firat, meanwhile, has rocked up to the party. As you can see, that Racing Bull in the background. 6 different cars in the top 6. Bit of a wide run there, though, for Bobo in the Haas. I think just got tucked up a little bit too much under the to the back of B-Tom. So this now be the Aston Martin's opportunity to take a P2, much like we saw in the sprint race. And the battle for the win is all but over. But does B-Tom have another opportunity to pick up some very solid points here to try and continue his championship fight? Again, 6 cars in it for P2. It's Lurka, B-Tom, Bobo, 5 cars. Lurka, B-Tom, Bobo, Mango, and Firat. Firat looking to the inside of Mango. He might get the cutback here on the exit. We're going to be very tight here as there's, again, a big wiggle there for the Haas under traction. You got Firat looking to the outside, Mango coming back to the racing line. Firat all over the place, and I think contact potentially between Firat and Mango there. So not sure entirely what happened, but Firat is thrown up into 5th. It certainly looked to be an odd situation there. We'll see if that gets reported. Meanwhile, it's the battle of the green machines once again, as Beatom, I think, going to get comfortably to the inside, and he will get through as Lurka tries to tuck back in, but it's Beatom now back up into 2nd place with 4 laps left in this one. Yeah, what happened there at turn 1? And I think importantly, it does look like Firat's front wing is okay. Yeah, again, just not sure entirely what happened there. Seemed like Bobo may have had a bit of a wiggle. Mango had to check up a little bit, and Firat may just not have been ready for it. And that's what led to a bit of a concertina effect there. Definitely was a weird camera angle where I couldn't see the entirety of what went on. Looked to be close to what... Mango went wide, yes, but I don't know... But I know he was pretty tight with Firat as well. I don't know if that was doing any contact. Firat is out! Firat is out, and that's brought out a safety car! And suddenly, this race is about to get turned on its head as we have a late race safety car as Firat is out! Wow! So if you're Kaname, this is exactly what you were hoping for. Frozen will dive into the pits, and I imagine everybody will follow. I believe, yeah, and this is why Kaname didn't leave the session. It'll be Lurka staying out. And I think for any driver, actually, I'm going to give a bit of a warning here, our drivers, so excuse me for a second. Please keep in mind that the safety car may come in at the end of this lap. Please keep in mind the safety car may come in at the end of this lap. Just be ready. As I believe that is, I think, the absolute last moment that the safety car could have come out in this one. Frozen will box for softs. B-Tom's got a fresh set of mediums. Tom will swap to mediums. BXT will go to softs. Chenzo to softs. Jordan on fresh tires. Of course, Kaname may potentially have a shot to score points. I think if you're Kaname, you just try to stay out and catch the pack. You just try to go with race pace in this one. But what is going to happen here? But yeah, the safety car may come in at the end of this lap, because I think that's the last possible moment that the safety car can come out. Because Frozen was about to start, get us to under 3 to go. And I think Kaname is still going to be out of this one because he's dove into the pits and he's going to have a lot of time to make up. But I think Frozen should have this on a fresh set of softs. I'm surprised Mango didn't dive into the pits. Potentially, that's because Tom JM got ahead of him in that exchange. But I think the important thing, will the safety car be in this lap just because of how late in the race it is? Kaname will have, I mean, I think the question here, it has to do 1 lap min. I think this is going to be the 1 lap. The game, of course, the game will not go in under safety car, will not end under safety car. I mean, I think if you're Kaname, you take the fresh set anyways, and there is the safety car in this lap message. So yeah, it will be 2 laps. It is a 2 lap minimum of racing for when the safety car comes in, which is how the game works. So, fun facts, if we do get that late safety car, the game will have minimum, or should have minimum, 2 laps left of racing. So that's what we will have, is all the drivers trying to get those tires into the right window. And I think if you're Kaname, still got a chance at points here. You're not going to catch the pack, but I think it's certainly going to be chaos as Lurka and Bolo try to hold off the field. Same with Mango, as everybody behind him on a fresh set of tires. It will come through the bus stop chicane, he'll keep it wide, and will now go. That's a terrible start from Mango. Is Mango going to dive into the pits here? As Mango, I think, going to retire here. Frozen with a great restart as he slides up into second. And I imagine will take the lead here. As here comes Frozen all over the back of the Salver already. I imagine he'll just hold off, wait until the chem is straight. And will he get the move done? Of course, that does allow Kaname to pick up at least a point. There's Frozen looking to the outside. How brave will Lurka be? I imagine will not be super brave. And into the braking zone, Frozen does take the lead. So now it's B-Tom who will have to try and pass a bunch of these cars. Mango didn't have to pit again. Mango, I think, could have made it to the end of this race. I think it would have been tight. Mango, B-Tom with a brave move there to the inside on fresh set tires. Big lockup, but does get by. Making contact with the Haas of Bobo, though. That'll hold up Tom JM behind. And again, you can see cars all over the place in this one. As we head through Puan now. Will B-Tom try to get the move done? He'll go around the outside to the inside of Lurka. And so he'll get that done. Yeah, Canale didn't have to pit again either because he was on a 3-lap old set of hards. So he maybe could have caught the pack, but of course wouldn't have had that fresh tires. The fresh tires is the kind of balancing act of that one. Lap 21 and 22, and it's going to be close between Frozen and B-Tom. Tom, meanwhile, up into 4th, as he's found his way past Labobo. BXT Bernat has as well. And will it be the Ferrari looking to make a move? You got the Williams there in the background as well. There's BXT Bernat trying to go around the outside. Not able to get that move done, though. He'll dodge the incident there. That 3-second, I think, can get removed. But we'll start the final lap here. And B-Tom with a potential opportunity to go and win this race. DRS enabled for the final lap here at Spa. And it's going to be a final lap battle between the Aston Martin and the Alpine. Frozen pulling out that big lead. Unfortunately, just that safety car being brought out. Does he have enough energy left in the tank to utilize DRS? The gap behind, 0.4 of a second. And B-Tom going to be full push here. DRS going to be wide open here. Within 0.3, within a corner, within 0.2. There's the Aston Martin going inside, trying to get it done under braking. Not quite able to get it done, though. BXT Burn not able to find his way past Lurka. Labobo, meanwhile, drops all the way to 9th as BXT will now have a chance to chase Tom down and try and walk away from this race with a podium. But it's going to be tight between the Aston Martin and the Alpine. And I think another thing to keep in mind, are those softs on Frozen's car used? Because that could prove to be a difference maker as we make our way through Sector 2 here. Though that gap opening up, that dirty air just being a bit too much of an impact on B-Tom's car. As we'll make our way through this back part of Sector 2. Does B-Tom have anything left in the tank here? He's got about 50% battery left, but so does Frozen. And of course, there's no DRS from here to the end of the lap. 0.7 the gap behind, and I think that could still just about do it. I think B-Tom maybe just needing one more lap to try and get it done. We'll come through the final couple of corners for the final time, down into the bus stop, the gap down to 0.4. B-Tom closing incredibly quickly. He's going to try to poke that nose inside, but not able to, I think, get the move done. Will it be Frozen getting it done? Yes, it will. It'll be Frozen when you hear it spot. It'll be B-Tom in 2nd. Tom JM with a very nice drive to finish 3rd. It'll be SPR Chenzo in 4th, followed by Jordan, Maxi, Labobo, Lurka, BXT Bernat. Kaname will at least round out the points, so sticking in the race at least to try and finish and pick up that lone point. But certainly a chaotic one, and I don't think it went entirely to plan, but I think it definitely did for Frozen, who I imagine could take the championship lead. But certainly. But yeah, definitely a bit sweaty there. But yeah, that's definitely a good result for Frozen. Yeah, this one's tiring me out, and of course I got another to manage tomorrow. It will be Tom picking up driver of the day with that podium. A race winner and fast lap will go to Frozen. But yeah, Frozen maximum of 33. Maximum is 35. We'll pick up 33 points there. So a solid result for him, and we'll go ahead and pull the race results there. But yeah, fast lap for Frozen. So he'll pick up the extra point for that, but it's B-Tom, Tom, Chenzo, Jordan, Maxi, Bobo, Lurka, BXT, and Kaname. Your point scores in this one. Of course, there are all the starting positions for me for later on. But hopefully you enjoyed that one. It certainly was very eventful. Hopefully you'll tune in for 2 more sprints tomorrow for Group 2 and Group 3. Of course, these are our last races this weekend before we have a 1-week break. But hopefully you'll join us for those 2 races tomorrow, and then for when we return at Imola. So definitely stay tuned for that. Hopefully you've enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.